I missed them by about 5 minutes. Hello everybody. It's Saturday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. I am on my way to Hagerman Wildlife Refuge near Sherman, Texas, or Hagerman, I think it's called. And if it's me, I'd call it Hagerman. But anyway, I'm on my way down there. I had planned to come today to see some migrant birds. Hagerman's a really good place in April and May for birding. A lot of shorebirds come through there during that time. A lot of songbirds, neotropical migrants. The best time at Hagerman is the last 2 weeks in April and the first 10 days in May. Especially the first week in May is the best, but anything from about April 15th to May 12th is great. However, you have to watch out because sometimes in April showers, there's a lot of rain that comes down, and it's not just around the area of Lake Texoma because Hagerman is on Lake Texoma. And because Hagerman is on Lake Texoma can flood quite a bit in April. And that could ruin a May, as far as shorebirds go, because there's no more shoreline really. Because the rains from all over southern Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, all of that drains into the Red River and comes right to Lake Texoma. And there's been times where Hagerman has been just almost the entire refuge underwater, except for the headquarters. Now, I had planned today, because I had a lot of work yesterday, which I could have got knocked out, but yesterday the winds were we had 20 mile an hour sustained winds with 30 mile an hour gusts. It was insane. So I didn't want to go on such a windy day. I guess it was kind of a mistake because yesterday, late yesterday afternoon, probably around 5 p.m. or so, I guess, people saw 3 whooping cranes at the refuge and got nice photographs, got good fairly close-up photographs. I was kind of bummed. It was like 5:30 when I saw it, so I could have raced there and probably got there before sunset, but I don't know, I didn't want to race down there just for that. That's a pretty long drive from where I live. I would have liked to have added them to my big year list, and I'd like to see them anyway because I love whooping cranes, but I have seen them before. When I was young, I lived in Corpus Christi and for a short time in Houston, Texas, and my dad worked in Houston, and we would go back and forth, and one time we saw a whooping crane at a large farm pond, and it was definitely a whooping crane, and that was back in the 70s, so they were even more rare than they are now. I mean, they were nearly extinct at one point, and since then I've seen them fairly close. I've been within 15 yards of a whole family of whooping cranes and got some decent photos, although it was at a time where I was new to digital photography and the equipment I have was new, so I'd love to get close with the stuff I have now. That'd be nice. I'm not expecting those birds to be there this morning. I'm sure they've moved on. That'd be my luck, but like I said, I'm not expecting it. So what I'm really hoping to get while I'm down there is maybe a cinnamon teal. I don't have one of those yet. A yellow-headed blackbird, I'd like to get one of those. There's some other birds, some shorebirds I'd like to get. Western sandpipers, that's one I don't get every year. And there'll be others. Anyway, I should be at Hagerman in about an hour and a half or so wish me luck.
I arrived at the refuge and, as usual, I stopped to look at nearly every bird I saw. For some reason, I just figured the whooping cranes had moved on. After a bit, it crossed my mind that I should at least go check before birding the rest of the refuge. And as I approached, I could see that there were about a half dozen birders at the Harris Creek Bridge, but there were no cranes in sight. I immediately got the sinking feeling that I had just missed them, and as it turns out, the cranes flew north about 5 to 10 minutes prior to my arrival. But I was kind of kicking myself for taking my sweet time that morning. But oh well. I still had a great day and added 14 birds to my big year list to bring the total to 122 so far. That's not a lot at this time of year, but there will be plenty more added in April and May. These are some of the birds I added to my big year list. Prior to not seeing the cranes, I saw 2 large wild turkeys running through a pasture and into some woodlands. Shortly after entering the refuge, I observed a white-eyed vireo, some great egrets, and a few cattle egrets. There were 5 yellow-headed blackbirds that I could see. The males usually trickle through the refuge a week or 2 earlier than the females. The snowy egrets were back in large numbers, as were the pectoral sandpipers, which just passed through during spring and fall migration. There were a few tree swallows, and I also enjoyed seeing cave swallows just outside the refuge, another species that I don't see every year. I added the lesser yellowlegs. The greater yellowlegs was already on my list. But the highlight of my day had to be observing and photographing a large female Merlin, which really put on a show. She took off from a large tree and swooped down and scared a northern harrier which was feasting on something in a pasture. I got out of my truck and tried to get some video footage, but she was so fast, I grabbed my DSLR and just got some so-so photos. She then snatched up a large green darner dragonfly and swooped past me several times as if she was showing off her catch, which she had just hawked out of the air. And the Merlin is, you guessed it, another bird that I don't see every year. In fact, I've only seen Merlins a few times in my life. It's a real treat to see them, but also to observe them in action is really cool. And to top it off, on the way home, I saw a first-of-year scissortail flycatcher. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.